Listen carefully to the first part of the conversation and answer questions 1 and 2.
Hey, Janos, have you seen this notice here?
What's that?
Join our mole walking programme, Get Fit, for free. Now, I like the sound of that. I can't afford to keep up my gym membership this term. It's too expensive.
I know what you mean. But what exactly is mole walking? Sounds a bit boring to me.
Hold on. OK, it may sound boring, but it might be a great opportunity to take exercise. Think about it. A climate-controlled environment where you can take exercise without having to worry about the wind or the rain.
Wind and rain? Have you actually looked at the weather outside? It's snow and ice out there. I only came into the mall to keep warm.
Well, it is winter and we are in Canada after all. So just think, by mall walking we can exercise indoors instead of outdoors.
Great.
And another thing, we won't have to worry about the traffic. Just think, no busy roads to cross and no rush hours to think about. Come on, it's worth a try.
You're still not exactly selling it to me. Imagine walking past the same stores and they're not even open. So what's the point of that?
Oh, come on, Janos. Just think about it as an opportunity to window shop and keep an eye out for bargains. And what about all the amazing decorations and displays we can take a look at? I think it sounds like fun.
Did you say fun? Walking on a hard surface like concrete. Give me grass any day. Much more comfortable on the feet.
And there's another thing. In a mall, you're always close to restrooms. And water, come to that. What could be better than that?
I think I know the answer to that one. Exercising in a gym is a whole lot better.
Well, anyway, we can get more details at the
I'd like more
information about the mall
So,
walking
do you want to come with
programme.
me or not? Great. We're always
I'll
looking
give it
for
a
new
miss.
members.
I'm off to the
Can I
gym
just
to
ask
make the
you how
most
you
of
found
my
out about the
membership
programme?
before it runs out.
On the notice board on the first floor.
Oh, that's great. Most of our new members come through the website or through friends. Good to know people still read the notice board here in the mall.
Yes, I guess so.
Now, let me give you some details. The programme runs weekdays, Monday through Friday. And it's an early start. Wait for it. Walkers meet at 7 a.m.
7 a.m? That is pretty early. But come to think of it, my lectures start at 9 most mornings, so I would be able to make it back to the campus in plenty of time.
Great. Actually, most members go straight on to work or college after their walk, so you're not alone. Now, our members meet here on the ground floor.
Here at the information kiosk?
No, just over there at the food court.
Oh, the food court. OK.
Yes, just follow the smell of coffee. Normally about 10 to 15 people show up for each walk, but numbers can vary.
So, up to 15 in a group. That's an ideal number. Glad it's not 50. And how long do the walks last?
You can expect to walk for 1 hour, but some groups do less, half an hour or so, and a few groups even do up to an hour and a half, so it's best to check when you arrive. Which day were you thinking of starting?
Now you have some time to look at questions 8 to 10. Now listen to the rest of the conversation and answer questions 8 to 10.
Well, next Monday would work for me. Morning lectures have been cancelled, so I would have plenty of time.
Monday the 4th of February?
Yes, that's right.
OK. So let's get your details. Can you give me your full name?
Anya Karczewskaya.
Can you spell your surname, please?
Yes. Karczewskaya.
And your address?
Apartment 12, 2 Burlington Street.
And a contact telephone number?
0757 634 5003.
I'll just read that back. 0757 634 5003.
Yes.
Oh, by the way, new members receive a free gift when they join, and it's a much better gift than last year. We gave people badges, but they tended to lose them, and more recently we provided visors instead, but they weren't very popular. So this year we're giving new members T-shirts.
That's great. What colour?
Yellow. I've got plenty in stock, so you can collect yours on Monday.
Thanks a lot.
That is the end of part 1.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 2. Part 2.
You will hear the head teacher of a school giving a talk to parents about some new classrooms. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 14. Listen carefully to the first part of the talk and answer questions 11 to 14. Good evening, everyone, and thanks for making it along. I know how busy you all are with term coming to an end. As you know, the aim of this meeting is to show you the plans we've got to add 2 new classrooms and how that will affect the playground. Now, I've heard that quite a few of you are worried that there'll be hardly any playground left, but I want to reassure you that that's not the case at all. I think there's been quite a lot of uninformed talk going on, and people have started worrying unduly. I certainly hope I can dispel any of your concerns this evening. Firstly, I have a plan of what the school should look like, which I'll project onto the screen. The school governors and the developers want to hear your feedback before making final decisions. Your feedback's very important. When I've gone through the plan with you, you can ask questions and we'll discuss those queries in detail. There'll be plenty of time to tell us what you think over the coming weeks. And once the plans are a little more developed, they'll be available online. There'll be a weekly update, and once the actual construction begins, you'll be able to check progress as it happens. Personally, I'm very happy with where we've got to. I knew we had to have the extra space, but I must admit I worried long and hard about what we might have to sacrifice for it. The developers have certainly convinced me that we've made the right decision. You now have some time to look at questions 15 to 20. Now listen to the rest of the talk and answer questions 15 to 20. Right, can everyone see the plan now? Good. Let's start at the Balfour Road entrance, since that's where most of you come and go from. The Farley Road entrance and lower playground won't be affected at all. Now, as you come into the top playground, the two new classrooms will be on the right. There'll be a new gate, and the steps down will be rebuilt. There'll be a ramp for disabled visitors too. On the plan here, only the parts of the building affected by the plans are shown. I'll explain why the hall is marked on later. So, as I said, the new classrooms will be to the right of the entrance and, as you can see, will take up very little of the playground space. We feel the Year 6 children need their own area away from the younger children. So, this one on the left of the two rooms will be the new Year 6 classroom. As you can see, there's no direct entrance from the playground. The plan is to include a small entrance area here from the playground for coats and boots and so on. Entrance to the classroom will be from that area. There'll also be an additional entrance to the hall from this cloakroom, so children will be able to get to the hall from two different directions, from inside the main building and from the new entrance area. I hope that's clear. Now, as you all know, the hall doubles up as the cafeteria at lunchtime. One of the rumours I heard was that we're planning to dispense with the cafeteria and open up a snack bar. I can categorically state that replacing healthy school meals with a snack bar is not remotely in our thoughts. The other new classroom, that's the one with the playground entrance here, is going to be an exciting new venture for us. That's because its principal use will be for the preschool and after-school clubs. More and more parents want that facility outside school hours, and we need a dedicated space to run these activities. I think there were also worries about the nursery school, though I'm not really sure why, to be honest with you. I can tell you now that the whole area on the other side of the main school building will be totally unaffected. The nursery will continue operating as it does now. There will be a couple of smaller constructions, modernisation work really, down here on the other side of the top playground. Cycling into school is getting more and more popular, so we're replacing the old bike sheds with a brand new bicycle bay. There'll be space for 60 bikes. The children's toilets will also be modernised, and the children will be able to enter them from inside the school building rather than from the playground as they do now. There'll be brand new staff toilets in that part of the building too, I'm pleased to say. So, I hope that's at least started to allay a few fears. Take a few minutes to look at the plan that I'll get out of the way. Then I'll answer a few questions if you have any. Does that make sense to you?
That is the end of part 2.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 3.
Part 3.
You will hear a tutor giving advice to a student. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 28. Listen carefully to the first part of the conversation and answer questions 21 to 28.
Hi, Leo. What is it you wanted to ask me about?
I'm worried about the exams. I don't mean if I pass them or not. I mean about revising. I don't think I know how to revise. I mean, every time I start looking back over my work, I just switch off. I can't concentrate.
I don't think you're the first student that ever said that, Leo.
Hmm.
Are you revising at the right time? I mean, are you leaving it until too late at night when you've got no energy left? It's hard to achieve anything when you're exhausted.
No, not really. It doesn't seem to make any difference what time it is.
Well, are you worrying too much about the subjects you feel you're not very good at? I mean, are you revising only what you find difficult?
I guess I am doing that. Isn't that the best approach to revision?
Not necessarily. I'd say it's better to revise something you enjoy and something you feel confident about first. That'll get you into the swing of things, and then you can go on to more challenging things. Anyway, you have to think about the whole purpose of revision. Is the objective to do as well as you possibly can in your strong subjects, or to bring your weaker subjects up to an acceptable level?
I'm not sure I see the point of revising what I think I'll pass anyway.
But revising a stronger subject might mean getting an A grade rather than a B. That might be more rewarding and beneficial in the long run. You might look back and feel a greater sense of pride in getting a couple of A grades than you would about scraping through 3 or 4 other subjects.
Yes, I see what you're saying. I hadn't thought about it like that before.
I'm not saying that that's what you should do. I'm trying to help you see the possibilities.
Yes, I see that. Do you think I should accept that there are 1 or 2 subjects I'll fail and just forget about them?
Oh, I wouldn't want to give you that advice. I think you should go into each of the exams at least hoping for a pass grade. My advice would be to set a time limit on how long you'll spend on each subject. You may want to spend a little longer on the subjects you find most difficult, but not an excessive amount of time.
Yes, thanks. That's helpful advice. Do you have any more tips about how to go about the actual studying? I mean, how can I keep focused?
Well, what sort of learner do you think you are?
What do you mean?
Well, if you're a visual learner, you like seeing things. From what I know of you, I think you probably are a very visual learner.
So what does that mean in terms of revising?
You probably learn best with images or diagrams. You could try organising information into tables or flowcharts.
I do sometimes make mind maps.
Good idea. I think mind maps can really help you organise your thoughts. And another thing, have you thought about revising with other students?
I didn't think that would be a good idea. I mean, if I can't concentrate by myself, I certainly wouldn't be able to concentrate when there's another person there to distract me.
Now you have some time to look at questions 29 and 30. Now listen to the rest of the conversation and answer questions 29 and 30.
That probably isn't true. Another person might help you focus. Lots of students get together with a friend, sometimes in groups, to revise. They usually work out some sort of structured procedure.
OK, I'll think about it. I guess with a friend you could test each other. I mean, revise for a while and then take it in turns to ask each other questions.
Now you're thinking in the right direction. You could also write short summaries or essay introductions, say, and then read and comment on each other's work. Both positive and critical comments coming from a peer can be very helpful. There are all sorts of collaborative strategies and, apart from anything else, having company is so much nicer than struggling through alone.
OK, you've given me a lot to think about. Thanks for your time. I feel much more positive than I did.
I'm really glad to hear that. Coming to see me in the first place was very sensible. Do come back and tell me how things are going in a couple of weeks.
That is the end of part 3.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 4.
Part 4.
You will hear a woman giving a lecture about the positive effects of laughter. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Listen carefully to the lecture and answer questions 31 to 40.
Good morning, everyone. I do hope you didn't get too wet getting here this morning. The subject for my talk, I think we could all do with some to take our minds off this atrocious weather, is laughter. The laughter I want to look at is specifically related to psychological therapy and the treatment of physiological disorders, something we've been looking at over the last week or so. Now, when we start talking about psychological therapy, laughter isn't something that immediately springs to mind. Therapy is a serious business, and it's generally approached with an appropriate degree of seriousness. After all, people seek treatment and enter therapy for serious reasons. They're often at critical junctures in their lives, and they need professional help. The question is, how is it that laughter can be such a vital part of the therapy process? It's normally identified with humour, and thus generally deemed appropriate only in lighter, more frivolous circumstances, when it's acceptable to find a situation funny. Perhaps this is why so many people in the medical world feel that laughter's frequently misunderstood and undervalued as a cathartic, healing process. Now, humour certainly is one trigger for laughter, but it isn't the only trigger. If we take as a starting point the fact that laughter is a physical process that releases emotional pain, it follows that stress, anxiety, and tension may prompt the same response. Psychologists frequently point out that humans don't laugh because they're happy. They're happy because they laugh. Once we accept that laughter and pain are related, we are less likely to be shocked when people laugh in all sorts of painful, even tragic situations. Cathartic psychotherapy utilizes laughter as an essential medium for healing emotional pain. It's specific to the release of anger, fear, and boredom. When people laugh, they free themselves of painful feelings. The amount of pain the body releases during a single burst of laughter is immeasurable, but we know that the body will keep discharging pain cathartically until there's no longer a need. The only obstacle to the process is the self-constraint we learn to impose on ourselves during our early years. We're taught the virtues of self-control from infancy, and any loss of that control during an emotional outpouring is discomforting. We fail to realize that when we lose control, we actually gain in many other ways. Our cultural preference for processing feelings cognitively, instead of feeling them physically, maintains and prolongs emotional distress. Patients who have had upbringings during which feelings were suppressed may have quashed their ability to laugh, cry, and become angry. Clinicians can help individuals regain these cathartic processes, enabling them to release deep-rooted emotions that may be an obstacle to happiness. Only now has research begun to validate the notion that emotions are stored in the body rather than the mind. Recently developed cathartic techniques allow practitioners to teach patients how to access their hidden emotions and release them. The more catharsis the patient experiences, the more rapidly he or she progresses through the healing process. Laughter is probably the least threatening cathartic process, at least to the person expressing the laughter, and so it has an essential role. It's often a stepping stone to other forms of emotional release, like crying or showing rage. So why, you might ask, has the mental health community been so slow to accept laughter as a healing tool? Well, for reasons I've already outlined. Like any expression of the true self, laughter is radical and revolutionary, and laughing at what is seemingly misfortune upsets conformity. We in the medical professions must challenge the antiquated view that adult laughter is silly and inappropriate. We have to ensure that patients don't reject the healing power of their laughter, in the fear that others will see them as making light of their issues. Traditionally, mental health practitioners have viewed laughter as a way of hiding painful emotion. In contrast, cathartic psychotherapy understands that laughter releases emotion. Through laughter, feelings erupt from within into the outside world. If people suppress laughter, they also stifle the release of pain. The catharsis of laughter doesn't change people's circumstances, but it does change the way people relate to those circumstances. It enables them to take a different view, a view from which terrible misfortune can seem so much more bearable. This allows people to remember, to feel, and to explore without fearing that they'll be trapped by what they can't control. Life's most tragic events often have an essence of absurdity, and this can be the trigger point for laughter. Some people deal with emotional pain instinctively and come along to therapy already laughing and crying. There are many others, however, that need assistance.
That is the end of part 4.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.